All right, here we are. See, it looks a little bit crooked, but hopefully you guys can see it. Hey, it's the TED Show, episode 24, and it's really quiet in here, so if I'm screaming at you guys, let me know. I'm with my friend who's amazing, Bob Kodzis. Did it right?
Perfect.
All right.
Perfect.
Because that is not how it's spelled, and I was just learning it about 2 seconds ago. And what Bob and I are gonna hold on. See, this is why the organic part. I got to turn the speaker down. Look at that. And let me know if you guys can hear us, because I could certainly hear myself. Oh, look, here we go. We got some people on. Let us know if you can hear Bob. Bob, talk.
Hey, this is Bob Kodzis. I'm glad to be here with Ted.
I'm so glad you agreed, because we just recently met.
Yeah.
Even though we have this, like a giant same circle of friends and people in the community.
Yeah, and good people. We're connected by good people.
We have amazing people. Royce says you and Bob could be brothers. So you guys can hear us.
We are, in fact.
Yeah, look at him. He looks amazing. Look at the shirt he's got on. I think it's awesome.
Chosen by my wife. Old school Paisley, baby.
I love it. So thank God you guys can hear us. Please let me know if you can't. Even though this looks like it's going something weird, it looks good on there. We're going to hope that we don't go sideways today, because yesterday we went sideways and that was not fun, and the day before we went sideways and that was not fun. You could still hear the message, but unfortunately, I felt bad for the guests, because that's the last thing you want when you're in the middle of telling something deep or inspirational, and you have to look like this or you look like that. Anyway, happy Friday.
My sideways views if that happens.
Well, you should totally offer your... Oh, thanks, Brittany. She says we sound great, and she says, nice Paisley, Bob.
Yeah, thank you.
And he wore shoes today.
I dressed to please.
And underwear, I heard.
Too.
I learned that earlier.
No commando in the Citrus Club, people.
Oh, there's plenty of commando in the Citrus Club. We just didn't want bright yellow shorts, or... What'd you wear last time? I forgot.
I
tennis
think I wore
shoes.
a different Paisley shirt, but I was wearing Nike tennis shoes, because guess what? Comfort's important. You know,
I agree. Look, we're at least we're getting now to the point. We'll get off the club in a minute, but you can actually have rubber soles. Until recently, you couldn't have rubber soles either.
So, like a bowling alley, pretty much.
Kind of.
I guess.
I think you could wear bowling shoes here. So, tell them a little bit about you. So, we have mutual friends like Gert and the Hobarts and Jimmy Bowden, and I mean, we have a lot of mutual friends.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize how incredibly active you are in the community. And I think we've just danced around in the same circles for a while. Now we're going to dance together.
It's a waltz.
It's a. So tell them a little bit about you, because you've got that lovely Massachusetts accent.
Yeah, sometimes I do, and sometimes I don't.
I like it.
So I am from Massachusetts originally, but I came to Florida in 1981. I chased my high school sweetheart after a year apart, and caught up with her, and went to UCF with her. Go Knights!
Go Knights!
Class of 1984.
Class of 19, whatever. I'm going to say it. I was not FTU, so I feel good about it.
Good. And graduated, married her, and launched into this community with a career at Orlando Regional Medical Center, which is now Orlando Health. And I started out there as the marketing research jockey in the marketing department.
How did you get to that job, though?
That was my first job out of college. Okay. I graduated with a very high GPA in 3 years, because I was trying to catch up to my high school sweetheart.
Nice.
It started a year earlier. And I went in and applied. In fact, I got that job for $14,700 a year.
Nice. What year was that?
In 1984.
Wow.
And it was a low wage in 1984 as well. However, I chose that job because I got the chance to work for a guy that I considered to be a genius. And I was willing to give up, the salary to be able to learn from this brilliant guy. And guess what? I ended up having his job after a little while.
I love that.
And I left there in 1999.
You were there a long time.
14 years. And I left. I was the top marketing guy in the organization when I left, which was fun and cool. But I wanted to do something else. And so I launched Flight of Ideas and went from a $7 million a year budget to a $700 a year budget, which, by the way, is how you learn who your friends are.
That is true. Well, but you had built up enough friends in Orlando because of what you were doing, you had hoped.
You had hoped, but here's the thing. Nothing separates real friends from false friends like money. And what I learned at that point was that, I went out there thinking, I'm top 40 under 40, OBJ, right? Everyone wants to hire.
Oh, you got that. I like it. I never got that.
Oh, look at my responses.
I've never been under 40, so I don't know.
So, anyways, I ended up leaving there, and I really loved my career there. I had a blast. I got to do cool things with really wonderful people, and then I launched my own thing with the great support of my amazing wife, and I've been doing that ever since. So I'm going on 18 years now that I have been free man.
Did you know? So when you left, did you have a plan? Like you're in corporate America, basically. Did you have a plan and go, okay, I've learned all the things I don't want to do, and the things that I do want to do, and now I want to make it my own? Was that a big, giant, difficult leap? Like what was the final catalyst there?
It wasn't a big, difficult leap so much because I had the support of my wife, who was wonderful and amazing. I recommend a good partner for anybody who's going to do anything crazy. And I also had a ton of friends in this community that would push me, say, man, you need to get out of the corporate world. You need to go do your own thing. You could do anything you want to do. And my good friend Greg Gibson was a big influence there. He lives in Tennessee now. Kentucky, not Tennessee. Sorry, Greg, if you're watching.
Greg's fine.
He is fine.
Gert just joined, by the way. She's on watching us. Hi, Gert.
Hey,
hi, Kat.
I had somebody come up to me and say, do you know Gertrude, who used to work at Valencia? And I'm like, no, I don't know that person. And they're like, I think I do, actually. So anyways, we were talking about my illustrious career, and really it was a big surprise when I left that not everybody wanted to hire me, but I started chasing what I love to do pretty early on. I really started going after organizations that I cared about and giving my stuff away for free.
Yeah, let's talk about that. So there's so much to talk about. We had the best conversation before. I should have filmed that one too. I mean, I could talk to you for hours because you're just a constant source of fun and amazing insight. So I appreciate that.
You can be my agent. Thank you for that.
Oh, Bilbo says, Teddy is pretty. Thank you. I am pretty. I appreciate that. And
yes.
Hi, Carolyn. How are you? She said, yay, Bob. I like one of my most favorite humans on the planet, says Beth Hobart. That's sweet.
She's a wonderful person.
She's amazing.
You ever see how dreamy she looks in all her pictures? Every picture that's shot of her, not even just the one shot by her amazing husband Jim, but she just looks like she's got this aura glow around her.
She does. Beth is an amazing person. She's got the energy, and I think most of it has to do with coffee.
So she's a drug addict, is what you're saying.
It's all right. No, allegedly. That's the big thing here. Allegedly.
Okay.
Dave Frazier says, I see a huge common thread between a lot of the people you interviewed, Ted. Bob, you, me, Alex, Brian, an amazing woman by your side is support. It's true.
That's good,
right?
Thing.
You can't do it without a partner.
Oh, and we pretend that it's an equal partnership, but it's not. I'm thinking 70-30 her.
Yeah. Stacy would probably say it's 90-10.
Well,
I might get a 10 out of there. I'm not sure.
Hey, happy wife, happy life. And I really, my father constantly reminds me, man, you hit the jackpot when you married this woman. And hey, it takes work to create the perfect wife. I just want to make that clear to everybody.
I love that.
You actually have to mold the human being in special ways. She would kick my butt for saying that.
Stacey will too. I always tell Stacey, she's like, you'll get remarried if anything happens. I know, too much. I'm not going to work at that again.
Yeah, right.
Are you kidding? No, this took 28 years or however long, 33 years for you? 30
I've been married to her for 33. I've been in love with Patty for 36 years.
Wow. Yeah, no. Never again.
She's a peach, though. You know
Love
something?
It.
People give me credit for being married so long, and if I mention it in front of a keynote audience, they clap, and I'm like, no, you should be clapping for her. She's the most tolerant human being on earth.
That's awesome.
She's wonderful. So it's a good love, and I know that she adores me because otherwise she wouldn't be here.
Well, and you have so many things that you do, and you're out there, and you're putting yourself out all the time. We were talking about that, how we're all up here, we're on, you and I are on, and a lot of the people that are on the show are the same way. We're on all the time, and you have to you give the kite analogy because that was great.
Yeah, my wife describes herself as the person who's lucky enough to hold the string to the kite, which honors me so much, and she does a lot more than hold the string to the kite. Although if you think about it, the person who holds the string to the kite is actually the one responsible for getting the kite into the air.
That's true.
And keeping the kite in the air. So that way I think the metaphor stands. But she's much more of a participant. I feel like she's up there in the air with me doing this stuff. And yeah, you need a place to go regenerate. And she is all that for me too.
That's awesome.
But I try to shine a little bit of the light. I shine on the rest of the world on her too, because
that's good. They need it.
Yeah,
Stacey needs it too. I get it too.
And she gives me so much of her light. So now you know that I'm whipped, and
You're
I'm proud of it.
Yeah, but it's high school sweetheart. He followed down here. I think that's so amazing. It's a great story.
Yeah, I caught her. Although if she didn't love me back, pure stalking.
All right, so tell them about your chief catalyst is what you put
Chief
on
creative
your
catalyst.
Yes, creative catalyst. So tell them a little bit about that, and I also want to talk about SAC some as well.
I call myself a chief creative catalyst, which nobody takes seriously except me. They think, oh, that's cute, that's clever. What's your real role within the company? My job is to spark other people's creativity. I unleash other people's genius. And so to be labeled chief creative catalyst seemed logical to me. And then people were like, no, well, if you're the president of the organization, just say president. Well, I'm the president of an organization of one.
Well, I
two.
agree. So you picked a great title, I think. But that's really what you are. It's reflective of what.
And here's what I think. I'm calling it, all right? If you look at my business card, it's fun. It's fun and it's creative. You know why? Because when I give it to people, I want them to think, oh, this guy's fun and creative. If I call myself a chief creative catalyst, they're going to expect something different than CEO.
Right.
You know, and there are plenty of CEOs. And I always say it like that, CEO, because it's a serious job that they all take way too seriously. And I am a CEO, but guess what? Of a business this big that has an impact this big.
Correct. But I love the title because that, to me, that immediately disengages any kind of hoity-toity thing that you would have. I'm a big proponent. I don't like hoity-toity. Of course I did. I don't like seeing founder and CEO on someone's card. This is a personal preference. I'm like, couldn't you come up with anything else? Like, I never put a title unless it was creative.
Yeah.
I don't want to see somebody. So you're the CEO and founder of your one-man shop. Woohoo!
Well, I'm not interested in the illusion. Is the thing. I don't want.
That's exactly what it is.
I'm not trying to pretend that Flight of Ideas is any bigger than we are. We're as huge as we need to be to serve any client that we serve. We serve all kinds of organizations. I get to hang out with people at NASA. I get to hang out with people at Universal Studios. I get to hang out with people at Dr. Phillips Center. I get to hang out with all these really cool places. Just being a small company that has a big impact.
But that's because you're you. So let's talk about that. You obviously have you've refined and gone through a metamorphosis all the time, trying to figure out exactly what you want to do and how you do it and how it's successful, because you want to make the biggest impact. That's what I feel like you do. You impact anybody you're around. That's why I said to meet Bob is to love Bob.
I love that line, brother. That made me feel happy.
That's exactly how I felt. I mean, immediately. So you put it out there, but that's still a learned thing. You may still have it, but you have to fine tune it.
Absolutely, and I did develop it from where I started in my business to where I am now. It's really, as goofy as the term is, self-actualized itself. I mean, it's really, I'm no longer trying to make a nut. I'm trying to make a difference. And,
I love that.
And one of the things that I do now that I didn't do as much in the beginning, but I still did a bit of, was give with abandon. Just give and help.
So the giving part. So let's get back to give one, right? So
buy one, give one.
Buy one, give one, which is an awesome concept. I love it. So tell them about that.
Actually, back when I started my company and nobody really wanted to hire me, I decided to start giving it away to causes that I loved. That was where it kind of started. I didn't make an official policy of it. I just would say yes to anybody who asked, and I loved saying yes. That's the best feeling when someone says, "Can you help me?" You're like, "Sure, I'm glad to help you."
Absolutely.
Paid in full right there. It's awesome. Then in 2012, I decided to up the stakes and call it and write it into my contracts and say, for anybody who hires me, any paying client, I will do an equal project for the not-for-profit client cause of your choice, and I will do a project for them for free. No strings attached. I don't even write it off. I just do it.
I love that.
And let me tell you something, giving stuff away,
well, that's the best. Like, I think, and somebody said, I need to mic you, so you're going to have to talk louder, apparently.
Well, thank you for that note. I appreciate that. I don't like
That's
Mike.
why
I've never liked Mike.
I love these people because they will just tell it like it is, which is awesome.
Thank you. Maybe I just need a sip of water.
He needs a sip of water, which was my water. We won't talk about that.
I did. I stole Ted's water. I'm getting a new water right now.
Oh, good. Ted's new water. You can have that one, too.
Yes.
Except that might be vodka. You never know.
Guess what? It'll be a funner interview if it is.
It's already awesome.
Let's find out.
But isn't that awesome that you can do that? So was it hard in the beginning because you're not getting paid? You said you were having a hard time finding somebody to hire you. But
at the time when I started...
Because you're planting seeds at that point.
Yeah. Well, at the time I started giving it away, I had plenty of business. I was doing fine. I didn't say plenty of business. I was doing well enough that I wasn't worried about it. And it was a leap of faith. The cool part was when I told my wife, my partner, my love, this is what I want to do. She didn't say, why you want to do that? She said, okay, do it.
I love that.
Right? But guess what? That's what gave me the wings to do it.
Right.
And
it's the permission we talked about earlier.
And I did it for a year faithfully, and not knowing that one of my friends on Facebook is Scott Maxwell, and he had been watching.
Okay,
and
I
listening.
love. He was at the event last night, the event for iDignity.
Oh,
he's
right.
awesome.
He's a big supporter, and he's something. He's a good guy. Scott Maxwell is a good
That article
guy.
he wrote on you was amazing.
How lovely, right?
Yeah, it was
I mean,
awesome.
He wanted to get with me, but I didn't realize that he wanted to know at the end of a year. So, how did this go? And he kind of had a sarcastic tone to him writing me the note saying,
well, because it sounds altruistic. It sounds like everybody says, oh, I'm going to do this, and then they don't really end up doing it. So you ended up really doing it.
Guess what? And in the process, I unjaded Maxwell. How you like that?
We love you, Scott Maxwell.
He is a great guy, and really, he's doing some good in this community. And I got to tell you, a lot of my clients are not fans of Scott Maxwell because he writes things about him. He writes truths about him sometimes.
He does.
And,
but I find him to be so, again, we're back to authentic, and he just speaks what he's feeling. He's not on an attack mode, but if he's speaking the truth and it's painful, well, then maybe you need to hear the painful truth.
Well, and here's the thing, I find it hard to disagree with him most of the time.
Right.
I read his Sunday article to my wife, or she reads it to me over breakfast every Sunday. It's a ritual. We have a Maxwell ritual. But I liked him before I met him, and then when I met him, I did find him to be very genuine and a cool guy and a real guy. He's got a lot of people reading his stuff.
He does.
He's definitely national worthy, probably international worthy in his writing, his views. And I always worry that he's gonna leave this community at some point.
He made a great soup. I actually think their soup last night at the iDignity event, which thank you, Beth Hobart, that was amazing. And iDignity is such an amazing organization.
Agreed.
I think his and Steve Gunter from Dubstrat, I think their soup won favorite of some kind. So
what kind of soup was it?
It was loaded baked potato soup, I believe. It had sour cream. It was awesome. But all the soups were awesome, and it was a great event. But yeah, he's pretty funny. He's pretty hilarious.
So that was a lovely way to be recognized. Of course, after that article came out a few years ago, I got flooded with requests for pro bono work.
That's usually what happens, right?
Well, and I kind of expected that, and I actually embraced it. I said yes to as many as I possibly could, because why not? And did some really cool things. I did one thing. It was Gotha Middle School. Gotha Middle School.
Gotha.
They asked me to come in and do a speech for them, and they actually offered me $1,000 to do the speech for seventh graders. 2 speeches, 400 seventh graders each class. And I decided to do something cool with that. Because I was feeling pretty high on giving, I decided that I would go in and I would offer to these 800 seventh graders $1,000 to spend on their school any way they liked. I'm like, you take my fee, because I hadn't earned it. It's like, okay, so now school's going to give up $1,000, and you students get to choose where you're going to spend it. And they chose to beautify their campus with that $1,000.
I love that.
Flowers and little white picket fences, and it was kind of a cool,
You're again planting the seeds there. That is so important.
Literally,
right?
flowers grew out of that experience.
Bum. There we go.
Here's the thing. I live for the story more than I do the paycheck. I live for the adventure more than I do the cash.
You do.
And guess what? When you do that, I found the cash tends to come.
And then tell us about and I'm going to mispronounce this, tell us about your Pikachu. That's what I think every time I see it.
Chaka-Sha. Which, by the way, new
Who can say
Chaka-Sha is coming up December 1st. Dr. Phillips
And
Center.
Jim Hobart speaking.
So you need to go see this. It's amazing. First, Chaka-Sha is a convention that started in Japan to present architectural presentations. They were too wordy, too long, so they said, you get 20 slides, you get 20 seconds a slide. It has since become an art form that is extended really all over the planet, and Eddie Sulliver is our man in Orlando who's put together Chaka-Sha Orlando. And
you wanted to say Pikachu, didn't you?
Every once in a while I do. Pichakucha, right? Because it looks like Pichakucha. But I've done it twice. The first time I did it, it was over at Orange Studio, and I did the subject of how to be ready for anything. in 6 minutes and 40 seconds.
Wow.
And that was awesome, fun, great. And then this last one that I did, which was last year.
I love this. I love this story.
It was at the Dr. Phillips Center. It was called Let Your Light Shine. And the essence of the talk that I gave was how important it is for individuals to let their individual light shine. That the world is a better place if we all let that shine and share it with each other and embrace the diversity and step out of our comfort zones. And then I told the story of working with the Providence Boys, a group of autistic boys who I taught the art of improv and then put on stage in front of a live audience, which sounds mental, which it was, but it was such a beautiful experience to unleash these young souls and to impress their parents and their teachers. There wasn't a dry eye in the house because these kids.
No, it gave me the chills. You talking about?
Amazing.
Is it all right if I have this water, or do you need that too?
I don't need that.
I just want to make sure.
Not yet, but I will drink off of your straw. And then at the end of my Pachakasha, rather than just continue to talk, I turn it around to the audience and I tell them that I'm going to give them the experience that these boys had now of unleashing their individuality on an audience. And they all had glow sticks, and I had them respond to a series of statements that showed up on the screen. Some of them were really innocuous. I am male, I am female, I'm an only child, I'm a vegetarian. And then it gets into a more edgy area. I've been bullied, I've been punched in the face, I was raised by a strong mother, I love someone with cancer, I've considered suicide. And then when you see those few lights shining with great honesty and courage in a room full of strangers, they weren't strangers anymore at the end of the process.
I love that.
And it was like goosebumps all around. And it ended with me giving people permission to be themselves, which...
That's the word, the permission. You gave them permission to be themselves, and you gave them permission to be vulnerable, because people, they have a hard time with it. They want to be, and vulnerability is, I think, so important in pretty much everything we do, authenticity.
Brene Brown.
Yes. And so,
right? I mean, because she really unleashed the vulnerability bug on the world. And guess what? I think it's been very good, not just for the whole world, but for men.
Agreed.
Totally. Because women are often more willing to be vulnerable than men are. And that comes with baggage too, ladies. I mean, that's a reality.
It does.
But all vulnerability does. And dealing with that baggage is what we call humanity. You know, and so I think that talk was so profound. I mean, so I love so many TED Talks. I'm a big fan of the genre.
Me too, but I think that's so that they were willing to take. You're in the Dr. Phillips Center. It's an afternoon of. Say it again, Pikachu. Pachakasha. Sorry, I'm gonna laugh about that later. Not making fun of it. I have trouble. And you're there, and you're thinking, okay, I'm gonna listen, but not engage. So you encouraged them, gave them permission to engage, and it was life-changing or powerful. That's a powerful thing, to raise your light. You've been bullied, you love someone who has cancer, you've considered suicide. To actually take that risk, huge. I would imagine life-changing. They may have never announced that before or been open and honest about that before.
And they see the other people who are the same as they are. That the part of it is you're not alone.
I love that.
There was never just one person raising a light. The other part of it is we're not all the same, and that's great. That's beautiful. That's wonderful. I love to see the lights that are shining when I'm not raising mine. You know, I know who you are, and that acceptance of everybody as they are.
Right.
My mother was a come-as-you-are person. My mother invited all kinds of individuals into my home during the holidays who needed a place to be or wanted a place to be, and that kind of gave me a different view on everyone.
I love that.
I can't find anybody whom I can't find something that I love about them.
I love
which
that.
Is what a great way to live, you know?
Exactly. You're living with love instead of living in fear or living at... Thomas Waterman was on the show, and we talked about... We love Thomas, and I want to talk about your SAC Comedy Lab or whatever.
Yeah, you want to finish that sentence.
I definitely don't want to talk about your SAC. That's a whole other story.
Ted's Urology
definitely,
series. Coming up next month.
That's the new one. I've totally forgotten. Thomas Waterman. He said that he assumes people are inherently good. And I love that presumption or that assumption, because then you're not going into it totally jaded and have all your walls up all the time. And I think that's what you're talking about. Some of it anyway is that your mom accepted people in, you grew up around that, and you immediately you find something to love in someone, and I think that's powerful.
Oh,
in my
yeah.
opinion.
Well, it's also good for you. I mean, I think you should treat life like that. You should always be able to find something you love wherever you are. I brachiate. Brachiate, if you don't know what that is, that's like swinging from vine to vine. But I brachiate from happy experience to happy experience, from things that I love to things that I love. I have to do some stuff with responsibility in between.
Sure.
But I always have something to look forward to, and if I feel like I don't, I will create something to look forward to. And very often it's people, you know.
I love that.
I love being around people. At the same time, and I think you know this too, people like us.
People like somebody just asked if we were brothers.
We might be. After this, we're going to go get the DNA test.
Totally.
But ehistory.com. I really feel like we have to create that for ourselves. You know what I mean?
We do.
But at the same time, when we're all so up and out there in everyone's face, we need time to cocoon. We need time that we can close ourselves off from all of this and just be.
We have to. I feel like I have to, and you too, I'm sure we have to re-energize, because as we're out there, even though we were talking about this earlier, feeding our energy, feeding our soul, it's still tapping us. It's tapping us in one way or another. And a lot of times I feel like, okay, I've got to cocoon it a little bit, stay home for the weekend, or not have any meetings on a particular day, and just kind of re-energize and refocus. Mm-hmm. So tell them about SAC, because we're at 30 minutes, if you can believe it.
It's unbelievable, right? I want to tell them about energy first.
Yes, tell them about energy. I like that.
Because you talk about re-energizing. There is no honor in burnout. There's no honor in letting your gas run out completely. And yet we treat it like being stressed out is something noble. All right? It's not.
Yes.
The point is, we have to keep our tanks full in order to operate. The best day you've ever had in your life was a good energy day. The worst day you've ever had in your life is a bad energy day. I guarantee it.
Right.
And my point is this: when you see that your tank is getting low, I don't advise you go find some place to rest. I recommend that you go find something that you love, and you go do that. Because the antidote to burnout isn't rest. It's wholeheartedness. It's running at the things you love and filling up your cup again so that you can face the world. Sometimes that means, sometimes I fill up my cup by facing the world. And sometimes I fill up my cup by escaping from my world. But it's all about having the energy there to do what you need to do. And it's like they always tell you when you get in the airplane, you know, make sure that you put the mask on yourself first and then put the mask on the people you're traveling with.
Right.
You know why that is, right? Because if you're dead, you can't help anybody.
Exactly.
And the same is true for your energy. It's like, look, if you don't have enough energy for yourself, don't think you're going to be able to help the world.
Right.
So take care of your energy. That's all
I love that. I love that.
And guess what? One of my great sources of energy is improv. Doing improv at SAC Comedy.
I love this because I've been to SAC before many times and just never thought of it as a business or regrowth or re-energizing kind of, or teaching people. I didn't think of it as a teaching place.
Yeah. It's just a place you go have fun, right?
Right, that's what I thought. And I've been and had a great... Wayne Brady used to be there, right?
I got to play on stage with Wayne Brady last year.
Nice.
Yeah.
But I remember him from that place. Yeah. But I would have never thought about it in the way that you utilize it. So tell them a little bit about
Well, I've been involved with SAC Comedy Lab since 2000. I took my first class there in 2000 after having seen them do a corporate gig for Leadership Orlando. I was class chair for Leadership Orlando class 36.
Nice.
54, I'm sorry. 54, I was actually in class 36. I just gave myself more status than I deserved for that class. But I saw them perform, and I loved what they did. For the pure fun of it, I'm like, I want to do that. So I went to the players out in the parking lot while they were all regrouping and doing a little post of their experience with us, and I said, you guys are so cool. I want to do what you do. And they're like, well, you come take classes. You'd be great here. You'd love it. And so I did. And over the last 18 years, 17 years, I've learned that improv isn't just for the stage. It's, in fact, I'm a better improviser in real life than I am on stage. I am better at taking what life throws at me and making it work for my life than I am even when I get on stage. But I love to get on stage. I was on stage last night for 2 shows.
I love that. I saw the wig.
Fun. Oh, I'm not a big wig wearer. I look awkward in a wig. It's just,
allegedly.
There's no way around it. I can confirm that fact. I was in a wig and a poncho.
And a poncho,
because it was the only other feminine thing that I could use to do my drag dance lip sync. Thank you, Pepe. It was a great show. Fun, crazy, body, completely wrong at times and yet so right. But improv is it's DNA, really, when it comes to how you live, because it's about saying yes. And everyone's like yes and yes and. I don't think a lot of people practice yes and the way I practice yes and. Or the way my students practice yes and. It is really a wholehearted openness to what is being offered to you, and treating whatever is offered to you not just like I accept it, but this is a gift.
Right.
Oh, I'm so lucky to have this. I don't have to do this. I get to do this. Right. And that
Absolutely.
change in attitude changes everything. It changes the way you receive everything in life. So we use it on stage that way, because when you get on stage with your fellow players with nothing in your heads and you have to make it up on the spot, you've got to be agreeing a lot.
And you're teaching them really important skills that they're not just going to leave at SAC. They're going to take them with them in life and business, which I would have never thought about. You're empowering them in ways that they haven't been empowered before.
Yeah, I like to think of it that way. And the funny thing is, I was talking about burning the box. When I teach people how to be more creative, that I don't really teach them new things so much as I teach them how to take away the walls that they've built up inside. Improv is very much the same thing, where I'm actively unleashing people. I'm actively from their own constraints,
Correct.
From their own self-criticism, from their own self-judgment,
The judgment, yes.
from their own getting in their heads. Self-judgment. Let me tell you something. Screw your judgment. Screw mine too. I mean, I don't find it useful. When you're trying to hone in on perfect idea and you've got many great ideas, use your judgment. But when you're in the process of generating ideas, leave that outside.
That's
it
awesome.
will interfere with the process of creation, because judgment makes us hesitant to offer something new and fresh. So when I'm brainstorming or when we're learning improv, we leave judgment outside. I'll coach you, I'll teach you how you might be able to approach something better or think of it in a different way that will make you perform better, but it's not judgment. It's not. I hope it's not. I try for it to not be.
I feel like that is, again, I want people to understand that it's not about them getting on the stage and doing something comedic or improv.
No, we encourage them not to.
It's actually really giving you skills you may not have, or fine-tuning the skills that you have, or giving them permission to utilize the skills they have.
You hit on something, fine-tuning the skills they have. Almost everything that I do in the professional world, improv included, teaching improv, they're wraparound skills. They're skills that you can do. You're fantastic in the mortgage world, right? Okay, you know the real estate world like nobody's business, but if you wrap the improv skills around what you know, you are better at what you do.
I agree with that.
I've done it with internal auditors at the Federal Reserve Bank.
Wow.
I've done it with Disney Imagineers. I've done it with the folks who designed Harry Potter at Universal Studios. I've done it with folks at NASA. It doesn't matter what career you have. These skills, whether it's creativity, readiness, ability to improvise, facilitation, running effective meetings, they all enhance your ability to do what you do. So I like to consider what I do. That's where the catalyst comes in, right? Because I'm kind of a magnifier of what you've got. I'm trying to take what you do and help you to do it better. And that's a cool thing to be able to do.
That's so awesome.
If you can unleash someone at a higher level, there's some serious gratitude going on.
Huge.
Maybe even love.
Lots of love. All right, so we're 34 minutes, believe it or not.
Okay, so what do you want to know?
The time. I want you to tell them how they can reach out to you, what your website is, what your Facebook page, or whatever is the best way.
I can be reached at bob@flightofIdeas.net.
And we'll post all this.
FlightofIdeas.net is my cool and funky website that's being redesigned right now by my friends at Think Creative Inc. And I know they're going to rock the house and make it really something fantastic. I'm also on Facebook. It's Bob Kodzis, BOBKODZIS on Facebook. I'm on Twitter a little bit, but I don't tweet as much as I spend time on Facebook. That's probably because I'm old. But I also like the visual nature of Facebook, and all my friends are there. So
me too.
You can Google me.
I'll post everything. You're a joy, man.
It's
you
so
really
fun
are.
to be here and hang out with you.
It was awesome. I could listen to you for hours. I just think motivating, empowering. That's what people are hungry for right now, I feel like. They're always hungry,
Yeah.
but it seems like more so in our crazy world that we're living in right now.
We need some good juice.
We need good juice, and you're definitely the good juice. I appreciate it.
Well,
so
let's
much.
take care of each other. Let's take care.
Always
of each
take
other
care of
out
each
here,
other.
All right.
All right. I love you guys. Happy Friday. End of the month. End of the quarter for me. Thank God. I'm ready for October, which, by the way, is Tedtober, because my birthday's next month.
Which birthday is that?
It's my 33rd.
You look fantastic.
I look amazing, don't I? That's the alcohol. Love you, man. Thank you, guys. Love you
see
guys.
you.
And now
Bye.
you get to see me get up and hit the finish button. Have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday. Bye.
We're both getting up.
We're both getting up. You hit finish. There you go.